Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are and what time you're listening. I am JaiDei Jackson at You Are Worthy, and I have my awesome co host here, Dr. Lamar of The Wives Inc. And today's topic is about how to argue safely and respectfully. And is that even possible when you begin to think about an argument? Because sometimes when people think of arguing, they immediately think of discord, or they may think of um, disagreement or even being against. Versus, what if an argument is an opportunity to explore where we're not connected or lining up? However, before I get into the juice of the or the meat of the topic, Dr. Lamar, what are your thoughts about arguing safely and respectfully?
Okay, so I get a lot of pushback from this, but I'm standing by it. This is what I believe. I do a lot of work with couples, and I've been married for almost 23 years, and I stand by this, right? And I like to call it fighting fair. And again, when I say fight, I don't mean a physical fight. I mean like a verbal altercation. And I think healthy couples argue. It is a red flag to me when couples say, "Oh, we never argue," or they've been married for years and say, "We've never had an argument." That's a red flag for me because it is impossible, like you just mentioned, to be in a relationship and never have a disagreement or never have an argument or never have a position that you don't take that's different from your partners. And again, not, cursing each other out or hitting below the belt, but to say, no, I don't, no, I don't agree with that, or no, I don't, I find that very difficult. And when people say, "Oh, we never argue," it's an indication that either you don't feel safe or you don't trust that your partner has the ability to manage your disagreement, which again is a very scary thing, and it creates resentment. So those are my thoughts about arguing. And I crack this joke. I tell couples, you should argue at least once a month. In my house, we argue at least once a week. Arguing strengthens the bond and the relationship within the family. And when hard times come, if you argue, and I'm cracking a joke about saying how often you should argue, like picking arguments. But if you've learned the art of arguing, then when things come your way, you don't have to worry about not having those hard conversations like a lot of couples struggle to do. So that's my idea when it comes to arguing. So I'm for arguing.
So I can't stop laughing. I don't know why, but it's good to know that I like what you said. Arguing strengthens the relationship, it strengthens the marriage, and that you see that as a red flag when you're dealing with couples and they go, "Oh, we never argue. We've never had an argument." And it does make you wonder, like, if someone, how are they labeling an argument as well? One of the things that we do sometimes is think that if arguing, or if we are arguing in our relationship or our marriage, then maybe that means that we're not supposed to be together. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people become afraid that is that what it means, versus it's a way to actually get something off your chest, because sometimes people do allow stuff to build up. And it's also an opportunity to have a discussion. And there's a way to argue. And that's what this is really about. How can you argue respectfully and safely, so that when because at the end of the day, it's a disagreement where one or both people have a strong opinion or taking a hard position about something, and it's really an opportunity to understand the other person's point of view. And so because I want to talk about the Gottmans, John Gottman and his wife. I can't remember her name right now, but they talk about the four horsemen, which deals with how couples interact with each other, and it deals with how couples also argue. But before I get there, what are your thoughts about this arguing safely and respectfully?
You know what? I think that's one of the first things couples should learn to do. We talked about this some time ago. We oftentimes learn how to communicate by watching our parents, right?
Mm, yeah.
And sometimes they didn't learn the art of arguing or the ability to fight fair. And so you either learn how to or how not to, or just kind of how to retreat. And so I think that is an imperative skill that all couples, should learn. And you know what's interesting? Not only should this be learned as it relates to intimate partner, it should be learned in friendships. I think the same way that you should know how to argue in a friendship or relationship with your partner, you should know how to argue or feel safe enough to have that same disagreement with a friend. So I think it's imperative to learn. And I want to say this, I'm gonna move forward. Sometimes people think you ask them a question or you tell them how you feel, they think that you're arguing. It's like, no, I'm not arguing. I'm just telling you how I feel, and I'm telling you what it is that I need. So first, I think it's important to understand what an argument is. And it takes two people to argue. So if I'm telling you how I feel, I'm not arguing. If I'm disagreeing with you, I'm not arguing. I'm just merely telling you how I feel about something. And so I think it's important to understand that as well.
Yeah. One of the things I want to point out that disagreement, you have people that are conflict averters. They don't like tension. They don't like to make other people uncomfortable because they are uncomfortable.
Right.
And so I love what you said. There's an art to arguing, and it's about understanding the art to arguing. One of the things that I know that's important when couples are arguing is to stay within their window of tolerance. And that's one of the things that the Gottmans, they don't say it that way, but that's what they're referring to in the Four Horsemen. And one of them is about flooding. When I'm arguing with you and I'm flooding you with all my emotions, that can become overwhelming. And what ends up happening is one of the horsemen is stonewalling. Then I stop engaging.
Right.
And when I stop engaging, then that's me attempting to manage
Right.
this flooding, this emotional flooding that's hitting me in the face. Now he talks about, or they talk about, what it looks like is that the person is going to emotionally withdraw. There's this shutting down, and there's also this going silent. I think what's important when you find that you have been emotionally flooded by the other person is to have um, a way of saying time out.
Right.
I need to take a break. I'm getting overwhelmed. You don't even have to say all of that. I think that that's a part of the art of arguing or disagreeing, whichever word is going to work for people,
Right.
is to be able to say, and that needs to have been established before you get into these relationships. You know what? When I get overwhelmed, I'm going to shut down. I need to leave. I need to take a ride. I need to take a break, and allow that person an opportunity to take a break.
Right.
The other thing that they talk about is contempt, and this is another way that we tend to argue in our relationships. And contempt is really when we um, look at the person, and just what it says, we have this sense of contempt toward them. We're comfortable with showing our anger and our disgust and our hostility toward our partner. Well, of course, that's not respectful, and that's not a healthy way or a safe way to begin to engage with someone.
Right.
Um,
So I
Go
want
ahead.
to I want to kind of jump in. And so when couples are being contemptuous towards each other, it's a feeling that you think that person is beneath you, or you think that that person isn't deserving of whatever. And that's the interesting thing about marriage is not a partnership. I mean, I'm sorry, it is a partnership. It's not a parenthood. There's no mama, there's no dad in this relationship. And so you're working together. So you are in a team. And I hear a lot of men say this, not women per se. I hear a lot of men say, I don't want to get married because she thinks she's my mama, or my wife thinks she's my mom. And this is the interesting thing. The same way, technically, she can't tell you what to do. He can't tell her what to do. But you all agree to disagree or do what you're not going to do according to what the partner said. out of respect, not because you have to. But I wanna go back, and I want to do this little piece of education really quick about the
Mhm.
window of tolerance, because you're absolutely right. All of us have a window of tolerance. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are with your mindfulness and your yoga and your meditating and your counting. We all have a window of tolerance, and it's actually within our nervous system. And so this is how I like to teach this window of tolerance. It's right here between my glasses, right between my eyes. When you're in your window of tolerance, you're able to talk, you're able to think, you're able to articulate how you feel, you're able to retreat, you are thinking logically and sensibly, right? When you're out of your window of tolerance, meaning you're either hyper aroused or you're hypo aroused. And hyper tends to be confrontational. You can argue, you can fuss, you holler, you scream, you yell, whatever. But when you're hypo, which is beneath, you typically retreat with your emotions. And so this is the thing. When we're out of our window of tolerance, our body is literally trying to protect itself. So depending on who you are and what you consider to be protection is how you move forward. And so it's like boiling water. When you boil water and it's rolling, you can't stick your finger in it hot. Well, you have to give it time to cool off. So give your brain and your nervous system time to chill out, so no one gets burnt. So I just want to share that so that people can understand that and we typically can feel it. When you feeling it, you need to retreat. But I want to talk about a safe word and when you set the time out and what that would look like as well. So I just want to educate our viewers or your viewers.
Absolutely, because that's what we're doing is educating here.
Yeah,
And I like what you just brought up, that you wouldn't stick your hand in a pot of boiling water.
right,
You would allow it to cool down.
right.
And it's the same thing with when you're out of your window of tolerance, when you've been emotionally flooded. And I also like when you said you need to come up with a safe word.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. A safe word is when you don't have you don't have your voice. You can just say "ouch" or "pineapple" or
Strawberries.
"I'm out." Strawberries. Yeah. But the thing about having a safe word or even a safe phrase for me and my husband is pull up. Like my husband will say, "Jay, pull up," because a lot of times as a woman, I tend to be the one that's doing the emotional bombardment. So when he says pull up, I need to know that I'm flooding and I need to be able to just stop talking and just walk away and
Right,
know that we can address it at a later time because that's
right.
the agreement. It's just not a safe word where, okay, I stop talking. The understanding is that the safe word is to say that I need to shelve this for a moment and then come back at another time when I've gotten control of my emotions, where I'm not all over the place.
Okay. So I want to throw this out here. And again, guys, we've shared that JaiDei Jackson, she's a therapist, and I'm also a therapist. So we may have different ways that we talk about it. And so I want to kind of piggyback on what she's talking about right now, but mine is a little bit different. I do think safe words are important. I also think safe words should be private and personal. Like, I don't think that people should know them. And I'm going to tell you why. A safe word should not only be used when things are bad. A safe word should be used when something is going on and you're trying to get your partner's attention. And let's say, I ain't about to say our safe word, me and my husband's safe word, but let's say we are out and about at a family function and the safe word, and I know we're talking about arguing. I'm just saying one of the reasons why I don't like to just use a safe word for arguing, because then that word become tarnished, right? But this safe word should be a word of safety no matter where you are. So say you and your husband, you're out, y'all at somebody's house, and somebody done stuck their finger in the potato salad and scooped it out and ate it, right? And you see your partner going to get the potato salad. You can say strawberry. That alerts your partner to kind of look. Now, y'all not arguing, but that alerts your partner to kind of look like, and I'm like, don't eat that potato salad. So that is one example. The other thing that I want to kind of jump on really, really quick, when we use a safe word, it has to be agreed upon. And it should be something that isn't so inappropriate that other people look when you say it. And it can be said in front of others if somebody is getting out of their window of tolerance. And not only should the person who is getting out of their window of tolerance, but anybody can say it. So say if I'm fussing or I'm arguing or I'm about to be out of my window of tolerance with my partner, he can say it. If I'm not able to acknowledge where I am, he can say the safe word, and it means both parties stop talking. No follow-up question, no what did you say or what did you mean? Both parties stop talking. But most importantly, you have to have a time to come back, because a lot of husbands and wives just use the safe word just to dead the conversation. You have to give yourself enough time to come back to say, okay, so I said strawberry because of this, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah, absolutely. Very good points. Very, very good and very valid points. Because at the end of the day, this is about how do you argue
right,
safely and
right.
respectfully. I think the part about the safe word, I think you can have more than one word. It's up to you and your relationship. But for me and my spouse, I don't mind letting people know is pull up, because I'm the one that needs to pull up.
Yeah.
I will acknowledge that there are times when I can get in my feelings and I just need to be reminded, you need to pull up, young lady. Or at this point, yeah, I'm still going to claim young lady. You need to pull up, young lady. So the other two things that I want to just touch on before we end is this defensiveness, that when someone is bringing up a topic with you, we become defensive. And instead of us becoming defensive, I can't even say that word. Instead of us becoming defensive, we really need to own that we actually did
Ooh.
whatever they're coming to us and talking about, versus
Ooh.
reflecting, versus making excuses or shifting blame to our partner, or even bringing up something that, like a week ago, when you did this, well, okay, we'll talk about that after we finish talking about
I like that.
this thing. And finally, criticism. That's another way that we don't fight safely and fairly. And one of the things that I discovered about criticism is a way to get our needs met without actually talking about our needs. When I criticize, what I'm doing is not really coming to you and saying, this is what I need. And I think it has to do with this fear that when I let you know what I need, you might not be willing or open to providing it.
Mm.
So, what do you think about those two things before we shut this down today?
I think both of those are really good, but you said something about when a person comes to you, and I may get this wrong. When a person comes to you about, it's about being defensive,
Mhm.
and honoring how they feel or what they said. And I want to say this because I get this a lot when working with couples, is when a person is sharing with you how they feel, instead of getting defensive, I'm not saying take responsibility for their stuff, because it could just truly be their stuff, but it's really about honoring it. Like they come to you, whether you think you're right or wrong, but it's really just about honoring it. And if they come to you and say, it made me mad when you this, oh, okay. That wasn't my intention. I apologize, instead of debating and arguing that. So that was the only thing that I wanted to talk about, or to kind of piggyback on when you said being very defensive. Um, being very defensive. I think that's very important when you think about it on the grand scheme of things. So good
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah, it was. And thank you for that final summation. It's not about debating someone. And I think that's really what begins to happen when we're having an argument. That's what's going on. We're beginning to debate each other about who's right and who's wrong, versus really standing in this place of, let me hear and seek to understand what's going on so that we can then clear it up. Well, this has been Knowing and Growing. Thank you for joining us, and tune in. Let us know what you would like for us to talk about. Comment and share. Send us videos that you would like for us to
Yeah.
also give our point of view on. And you all have a wonderful day. Bye.